Hey, my baby. Hey, my baby. Let's see. Oh, man. I think probably need to do another. Oh. Oh. Oh, I don't think I took my ink. Oh. Well, I didn't announce it. Oh. Oh, man. Oh. Remembering our choice. Somebody's mowing. It's easy to blame the media, our culture, or our community for perpetuating unrealistic images of what it expects of us. But at the very core of these expectations, there is no one to blame because of a commercial like self-judgment has no power over us unless we agree with its message. It is only when we willingly attach ourselves to these images and distortions that our happiness is compromised. We do not need to take the blame for these self-judgments. We can simply become aware that they have been developing in our lives since childhood through the process of domestication. Yeah, we domesticate ourselves after a certain point. Uh, Once we are aware of our self judgments, we can reclaim our freedom by choosing for ourselves to transcend the rewards and punishment model that has been imposed upon us and eventually arrive at a place of self acceptance. We have a choice. That is power. Uh, the power of choice is, there is power in our choice, is what that's saying. Now, that's from Living a Life of Awareness by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., which I read this on, early in the channel's history. If you go back, probably about, I'm trying to remember how long I've been doing this. I haven't looked at when I started this particular channel in a while. I see somebody was here. What are you doing, girl? And I'm not sure how long I'll stay live, but I went to church today. If you're still there, I hadn't been in about a month or whatever. An actual building and an actual service with other people, like a congregation. I haven't been and I was unsure for sure if they were going to have Thanksgiving meal today, and they did, because they usually have that this Sunday before Thanksgiving. Because there'll be, okay, saved by grace, blessings. Hey, it's good to see you. I don't recognize the name, but of course, I'm saying if you're subscribed, I can't remember. At some point when it tells, I lose track of notifications when it tells me a new subscriber. I may see the name and see the notification, but don't know. And then sometimes people, when I do go live, I don't go live that often. Right here, here this week I've been going live almost every day at least. Yesterday I think I did it twice. And the early live, I wasn't able to see the chat. And so the, Nature Girl and Victoria commented later, on a highlight or whatever I shared after the live and told me that they were there. And I knew somebody was there. I just couldn't see that they were They were trying to communicate with me and I couldn't see it. So anyway, I was saying, I've had a pretty good day today. And what I realized was that this week, getting back in the groove of like every day, like starting Monday, I started getting like, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday when I actually began my day off with the scriptures again. And I can't remember if it was Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning, but starting Monday of this week was this past week. That Sunday, of course, I didn't go to church last week, but I did walk into town, got some things done, was blessed. And then Monday, I want to say I didn't really do anything as far as going anywhere. Tuesday, I remember getting up, going to the road out here with a sign, getting blessed. And then I walked to town and got more dog food and all that. And then it was like, because I'd done set in motion in my mind, I've got to get back in this routine of, because I'd been for the past few weeks being awake early and conscious, but just there was sometimes, if I don't remember how far back I go, but there was some periods here a few weeks ago where I was, there was plenty, I'd been in the bed way too long and I wasn't sleeping and I was just, I don't know if you've ever been there, whoever's watching, but in a place where it's as simple as just getting up and doing stuff. Hey, Victoria. But sometimes in our minds, there's something going on that makes it, for whatever reason, feel like, for me anyway, I can only speak for myself. But there's times that I get to where it's a chore, like I feel like it's a chore to get up and mate, just to get up and do what it is that I got to do. And but you know how you fix that is by getting up and doing it. And then once I like this whole week, since I like this past week of just getting up, doing whatever I was doing, and then on Wednesday I started scripture. Ever since Wednesday, I get up, I do some study in the morning first. I'm finding, and ever since the time change, I've been going down earlier, which is unusual. Sometimes I go through phases. Sometimes I go to bed fairly early in the evenings, then and I'll get plenty of sleep. Right now, I'm going through a fairly good cycle of going down early, staying asleep long enough, not waking up too many times during the night, and if I do, being able to go back to sleep because once this cycle is over, I'll eventually like the next cycle would be where I'm not sleeping a lot, and when I am sleeping and waking up, it's hard for me to go back to sleep. So I enjoy the moments that I'm having right now where I get tired in the evening, and I feel like, at some point after I finally turn everything off and lay there for long enough, I'm finding myself able to go and find myself asleep. Sometimes I don't even realize I fell asleep until I wake up and think it's really late. And I talked about this. I feel like I'm rambling, but or repeating myself from a few days back or yesterday even. Hello, everybody. Victoria, hello. Saved by Grace, I said hello already. And then there's a third person here. I don't know who you are, but it doesn't. Yeah, I like it. As far as what I've learned, like since it's changed over the past few weeks, like when I do decide, like on a day that I say, like I said, this past week when I, like last Sunday, and said I ended up walking to town. Then it was Tuesday, I walked to town, and then I don't think I can't remember when the last time I walked, but to town. But when y'all know, if you've been watching, you'll know sometimes I'm sharing that I went out that day. Like I went, especially if I've been here several days in a row and I really haven't been doing anything at the trailer. And I know I talk about this all the time. You ever experience like there's a lot that you could be doing at any given moment. If you're anything like me, I have a lot of free time as far as what we would call free time, as far as I'm not committed. Like I don't have a 9 to 5 that I have to get up every morning and struggle with and try to go clock in and do all that. So it's like, it's important, but like the reason I've been feeling off for several months now was just because I haven't been, because it's important for me to try to get in some sort of routine. And like, I don't have a set time that I tell myself to get up. My body just kind of like here lately, it's just getting up when it gets up. And then like, if I really like sometimes like this morning, I was up between 4:30 and 5 o'clock, I think. Now I didn't get up and just start doing stuff, but I was up and, but, yeah, I was saying, it never fails. Like, I always get like when I do go to a service and go to church, like the building, because if you've watched me for a while, then you've probably heard me say that most of the time I consider myself in church every day, except like, if we go back, like me talking about what I've been going through, just kind of some struggles mentally and stuff was a lot of that. I'd say on some of those days, I wasn't necessarily in church up here in my mind, that I wasn't staying in tune and I wasn't. And when I say church, I just mean communing with the divine, with the spark of life, that creates. You'll hear me use different wordings at times for what I'm talking about, but I think an intelligent person can understand that I'm talking about something bigger than myself, outside of myself. It's inside, it's in here and outside. Well, yeah, Saved by Grace, I had a pretty good routine going. Like Victoria's been watching for a while, so she could tell you that, at one point, if you back about probably 4 months, before 4 months ago, for several months in a row, like I was like really just things were like going just like it's kind of like the ups and downs of life. Oh yeah, and reading some type of scripture or something of insight at all in the mornings. Whether you're like for me, what I'm saying is if someone say what's not technically, let's say someone's not a Christian, but they have some sort of inspirational thing to read in the mornings, I still recommend that. I would think getting up with any kind of something that, like I just got out, like even last year I was doing a lot better, but over the whole year span, there's been several times that I've been in this place where sometimes it was due to physical stuff, and then sometimes it's just I was dealing with things that maybe what's interesting is it's not always it's not like a particular thing that I could necessarily put my hand on, and those are the most frustrating times. That's what I've been kind of dealing with lately, is that here I am getting my motivation back, I'm getting the gumption back to do things, even though I'm having to and there was something said yesterday. The reason I titled this yesterday, Stephanie or Nature Girl said, we can choose to be, like I was talking about over the past several years, I've said, like I constantly say, I haven't hard enough time getting to a store as far as getting rides, doing this, da 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 da. But when I'm here by myself and I hadn't been and I do have to get somewhere and I can't get a ride, I do take off and go wherever I can by foot. So what I realized yesterday is that there's sometimes maybe I'm using this, like if I know these things to be what's been keeping me from doing some of the things that I should have already gotten done over the past several years, like real simple things such as if I'd gotten Ladybird fixed, if I could, it just takes, just like getting my other dog right now. She might have a litter, but afterwards trying to take care of it. And that other dog, I'm trying to think if I can, and it's a matter of me I just got to get some problem solving thought going on, setting up, getting the person to help me get to somewhere, that I might need to be. For instance, if I take Bitty Bitty, get her looked at for the first time, and it's before she's ever had a heat cycle, maybe I can get her at least fixed, and not have to struggle with that one. But, whatever comes my way, I'm going to just accept. Like, even though in the middle of it, I may be resisting it, I may not like it, I might be thinking it's the end of the world. I have to remember, it's like today in the sermon, it was about thanks, giving thanks. Even in my times of trial and error and making consistently poor choices or something or whatever, it's as simple as getting out of sync from doing the things I know that works. Like I realized by doing everything I've done this past week, by getting up, being more motivated, even though it's not a lot some days, like sometimes I'm not satisfied with how much I did because I know I could have done more. But I'm just trying not to overdo it because I feel like I probably have experienced a little bit of burnout also. That was what I think happened too. I got so going, things were so, the channel was growing. There was a lot of insights, but I think sometimes maybe I was misinterpreting and maybe some things that I thought was like coming from the spirit was just in my head, me making my own thoughts up. I have to discern myself, I have to remember. Yeah, that's the first thing I do in the morning, really. Once, like when I'm laying in bed, before I've ever like even before last week when I started getting into the study, I've been doing this for like a while now, even though I've been feeling kind of down a lot and just empty sometimes and whatever. I was still starting the day, like even though I might be laying here and I wasn't on the phone, but I was just trying to wish I could just sleep the day away. Early in the day, when I'm conscious, I started at least saying thanks. I give thanks. And then even though I might have like an icky, weird feeling, and anyway, so after about a month of not being at an actual building in a service, today when I got there, it was like I got up today and I just kind of like began my day as I've been starting it, and I felt like I was being told, go ahead and do what you got to do, just like you've been doing every morning anyway. Because I was telling myself, I don't know if I'm going or not. And if I am going to go, I'm going to walk. And I was just kind of going with the flow because this was early in the morning. And then, but then the next thing I found myself washing off, getting myself kind of cleaned up. I changed my pants. I changed my shirt. I decided, like, I was doing things as if I knew I was going to do it, but I was still trying to tell myself I didn't know. And ultimately, I ended up walking. It was it's a nice day out today. It's actually warmed up. When I was over at the neighbors just a minute ago, they said it's like, well, about an hour ago when I was over at Betty's, her brother said that it was like 78 to 80 degrees today, which has been getting pretty cool at night. I don't think last night got quite as cold as, some of the nights, but I did run the heater some for a while. And, yeah, I feel blessed. And then we had, the Thanksgiving meal too. So that was cool. And, what was cool is I didn't know that David was going to be there. Like when we got done and I was in line, I seen his wife, and then I was like, well, David told me that I didn't know I was going to see. And she said, oh, he's here too. We just got here. They had went to it was their granddaughter's, wherever his kid goes and they go to church. What do they call it? Not a commencement, dedication or something. Anyway, his granddaughter's whatever into the church. It wasn't a baptism or nothing like that, but it was like I don't know why it's boggling my mind. It's not a hard word. It's either dedication or something like that. And so it wasn't that far away because I didn't bother to ask him Friday when he took me to the dedication. Okay, being dedicated into the church, I guess is what it is. Like I knew what I was talking about, but I wasn't sure if I had the right word. I didn't know that it was close enough that they were going to. Well, they didn't know that they would be there. Like they didn't know how soon they'd be there, but it wrapped up and they were done with whatever down there in time. And so by the time we were done and people were getting in line and I was starting to get in there to about get my first plate or whatever, I seen them, and so that was cool. But I ended up walking back too because it's such a nice day. Like at first, I was like, "Well, cool, David's here. I'll go ride back." But believe it, like this morning on the way there, it was really like I didn't have my feet didn't hurt like I thought they would on the way there and stuff. Now, on the way back towards the end, when I got close, the closer I got to the trailer, I started feeling a little bit of and I'm sorry if it seems like, but what I was going to say is yesterday, we were talking about like Nature Girl, Stephanie had mentioned, I think it was her, we can be a victim or we can choose to be a victor. And that was like, ringing over in my mind today when I was in church, like because of the message and what he was saying. He was giving us like the guy, he was sharing a story about something he went through several years back before he had his quadruple bypass and all this stuff and all this pain he had been in and didn't know what was going on until he finally, it went so long, like it went from where he couldn't ride his bike no more to where he couldn't jog no more to where even just trying to hike, was hurting him to where he ended up in the hospital and stuff. But he was talking about being thankful and everything. And then trying to remember where I'm going with this. But what was cool though, there was a woman there that was visiting her and her husband, I guess, and they sat beside me and they told me they had been invited today, and she'd never been there, of course. And I was like, well, I ain't been here in like over about a month. I've been coming for a while, but I said I haven't been in about a month. I've been out of sync, and she said, dealing with being human. And I said, yeah, I am human. I said, when you get out of sync of doing something that you've been doing that's good for you, or you do, like, because I get something out of it when I do go. As you know, I have I felt a message today to me when I was there about, even though I have some broader perspectives on the whole ultimate big picture, when I'm in that place, a certain place, and I'm with certain people, it's good. Like, I know where I'm at. You know what I mean? Yeah, but the past 4 weeks have been a struggle, and because sometimes when I go, it's even more like profound. But today was but because I hadn't been in like at least 4 weeks, it was like meant that it was the perfect timing. Like, on my way there, I was communicating and talking, and it was like, today was the day that I needed to go. You know what I'm saying? So, like, all the other times, any Sunday that I could have went, but made an excuse for myself or whatever. Some days there was a Sunday or two I didn't feel that great, and I was dealing with things. But I realized what the problem was is during the week I wasn't making myself start and get up and be as productive as I'd been. And when you start doing that, it's easier to stay that way. You know what I mean? Each day that I put more effort into each day, I slowly, like today, I feel like I've been the most productive so far from last Sunday to this Sunday. Today feels like one of the most joyous, productive days I've had so far. Right, you know what I'm saying? Like last week, I didn't go. Hey, Mama Teresa, there's Teresa. There's my old friend Teresa, y'all. Victoria. I just noticed that's who said I'm happy you went to church. Victoria's probably heard me talk about this. I mentioned Teresa quite often. I was even talking about her yesterday in the chat or in the live, Teresa. I was mentioning how, like, Nature Girl had mentioned to me about getting in contact with me in a comment. And then in the second live, we were talking, and I was talking about that me and you have been communicating ever since early in the channel's history. Before you were ever a subscriber, me and Teresa knew each other from X, formerly Twitter, and then she subscribed to my channel. Like, the channel was still pretty early in its infancy. Like, she was one of the very first people like on board that's been here and regularly participates or comments and likes the videos. It's pretty cool. It's nice to have a sense of real community, even though it's just online and through here. But you know what I'm saying? But that was something like what I was going to show everybody, Teresa, is what I'd already showed you before I got on here. That lady that is set up beside me, we had talked, and then the sermon was going on, and then at the end, he was asking people if they wanted to come up, and I'd been crying some through the service, and she reached her hand out and asked me to go up there with her. She wanted me to go up there and have me pray, and she prayed with me, and or prayed for me and everything. You know, it was a nice experience. I enjoyed. Like, I needed it. It was like a cleansing, you know. And then when we were in the fellowship hall, or the, like where they were having the meal, she gave me this pomegranate oil. She's got like a street ministry she does and I said, well, how do you, and she said, well, she said, well, I've got she gave me this and explained to me, it's like prayer oil for me, anointment. It's anointed. It's been blessed and everything, but it's pomegranate. She told me that when when I'm being like it's good for when I'm feeling overwhelmed and things are coming at me. This will help me, like when I. But anyway, so I mentioned something, and she said her ministry is like more of a. It's like a street ministry. She, where I guess wherever she's at, if someone's in need, or if she said there's people that contact her and need help all the time. She tries to deal with people on the streets and stuff like that, or whoever. Not all of them are just street people, but she wherever she finds herself is where she's going to like try to share a little bit of healing and love and the message and stuff. Yeah, and I know that sometimes I may talk because you have to understand just because I sometimes deal with trying not, I worry about that some people, because there are things that I also have studied, things that I know that are particularly not in any harm, but there are some people that only see things one way, and it's like they can't see outside the box. You get on. I don't know if that makes any sense. So sometimes I'm weird about. I hope that people understand. Like for instance, Saved by Grace or whatever. If you're still here, a lot of times you'll hear me refer to the Big Kahuna, and I'll say Big Kahuna, aka God, or the Christ, or Spirit. I like to say Spirit, the Spirit. But back in the summer or this past year, when things were really flowing, in my personal relationship and stuff, using the term Big Kahuna was much appreciated by, like I was told it wasn't a problem, and it knows that he knows what I'm talking about. I had somebody think one time in comments, like I commented about something in some video, like it was like and I said something about the Big Kahuna, and they came back in a comment calling me all like they didn't have a clue that what I was talking about. Like they didn't know that, because if you look up what Kahuna means, it's leader, chief, the boss. And I just use that as the term, like who's my boss, who's my real boss, who's the person, who is what, or what is it that moves me. For me, I really have a hard time putting I don't really like putting a specific word to it sometimes. It's so, it's like, I feel like by trying to put a name to it, makes it almost not as, you know what I mean? Like we discredit something there. Let me read this. Hey, friends, can you pray for my granddaughter? My daughter just called and they are taking her to the ER. She is 3 and is struggling to breathe deep. Oh, dang, Victoria. Dear Lord, you just heard me read that out. You know what is needed. I'll say that as we're talking, and I just read that out, I don't, I'm sure anybody else could have read it, but I just needed to see it because I hadn't read it to myself, and I wanted to. And so when I seen that, has this been, Victoria? Is this something that's been going on, or it's just something happening right now that's occurring? If you need to go, well, I mean, I hate that happens. Man. Oh, okay. Thank you. We're all sick. Hold on. Ow. Give me a second, y'all. I'm starting to cramp right here. Sometimes over the past little while, I've been having like an issue. Every once, like, this side of my, under here will start like the muscles convulse or something, and it'll bulge out, and then it'll kind of like be uncomfortable for a minute, and I don't know if it. Go on. Me, my daughter, grandbabies, and sons. Y'all have all been sick, okay? I won't even ask if it, it could be a number of things. I don't know if you are one of those that thought you might have to be tested whether it was COVID or not. Like, I never had, like, the only time I had a COVID test was when I when I had to call the ambulance, probably, it's been almost, I can't remember, 2.5, 3 years ago. And my gallbladder, had to be rushed. And then that was during that time. And then they ended up taking my gallbladder out. But I'd never bothered to. And I don't think it really matters. Like, one way or another, whether it's that or that, you know what I'm saying? We know that you're sick. But on the plus side, I'd rather hear something that is something that everybody's dealing with than like some weird thing that just, you know what I mean? Like, so basically, it's not like everything's been normal, and then that phone call was like, bam, like out of the blue. You don't know what's going on. You don't know why it would be. So, yeah. Not that makes it any better. I'm just saying it. It gives me a better understanding of what's going on there. But yeah, so that's cool. Thanks, everybody. If you keep Victoria's granddaughter in prayer, she just told us that her granddaughter is going to the ER right now, having trouble breathing, and her and her daughters and sons, grandbabies have all been kind of sick, so they're all dealing with some kind of crud. Let's just keep everybody in good thoughts and good prayer. If you do pray and you believe in anything, pray to it, and you know what I'm saying? If you will. Now, if you don't believe in anything, then, just send out some good thoughts. That's what I'll say about that. I hope that's okay with everybody. I was really happy with her giving me this because, it just was another verification that, like, today, it's been several days since I've been, let's see, trying to look how much is in it. Oh, she's been, it's about okay, that's cool. But she rubbed a different kind on my palm that was something about, I don't remember what it was, but it had a different name. I think, back in North Carolina, of course, I was pretty crazed out. I was doing a lot of stuff that, if isn't always approved of, but as far as substances and stuff, but people knew that, I like to I'm sort of, a lot of people are drawn to me, and a lot of people know that I have some kind of deep understanding of the bigger picture. Like, not that I know much of anything, but I've always been a seeker. I've always been questioning things. I always wanted to know, what's really out there, and is there really something there, or is there not? Like, not just because someone told me or whatever. And I've made a lot of poor choices along the way trying to figure it out. But, ever since at 25, when the divine creator, the thing that moves through us and gives consciousness to us, or spark, the spark of consciousness, when I finally had a personal experience with it, I've never really looked back, no matter how bad I've done in my life sometimes. And most of the things has just been mostly harmful to myself, healthily. Like, it's not been a good, like, I don't regret any of what I did. It's just part of getting to where I got with knowing what I know was by doing some things in an extreme way. And I always tell people I don't necessarily suggest that you go out and do everything that I did along the way. Like maybe don't go and if you don't have to and don't feel it necessary, then don't necessarily put yourself out there on the streets if you don't have to. If you don't want to, you know what I mean? I threw myself to the wind and never had to be in certain situations. I just always was there out of choice and learning, you know. And early in life, though, sometimes I was a little bullheaded too. Cool, Teresa. You asked the angels to be with her and to send healing. Yeah, sometimes people don't understand. There's things that I sometimes can tell I always know when I can feel something near. Give me a second here. Oh. Oh. Oh man, sorry. I've really decided to go on like she is such a tiny little thing too. Okay, I just now you see like I was talking, I was talking and then I was catching up on the actual conversation y'all were having, and that's cool. I think it's cool that today's a really cool chat because y'all are having a good conversation back and forth yourselves, and I really enjoy that. So, earlier in this year, I've had all these expectations, and Teresa's been with me for a while now, ever since pretty much after the first, it wasn't until after I'd had the channel for a while, but in the first year that I actually was taking it serious and starting to, I chose to, work on my sobriety. I still struggle sometimes. People, I talk about it, but I've had a good bout of the past few years of really getting things a little more under control on my end as far as knowing what should come first. You know what I'm saying? I spent a lot of time putting off my, not prioritizing, Okay, Victoria, you have a good one. It's making me feel warm and fuzzy that everybody's, a few months ago when I was doing these lives, Teresa, you weren't ever in them, but there was some I was doing it in the evenings or sometimes at nighttime. Some of the lives were getting to where there'd be some people pop in that weren't even, subscribed or anything, but they were kind of like trolling. And so that's how I learned how to make people moderators and stuff, because if I'm doing a live where, a few months ago, a lot of the lives were just me having fun and I would be smoking a little bit of green and stuff. You know what I mean? I'm just being honest. Anybody that has watched my channel, I'm thinking that you haven't maybe been with us a long time, or I don't know, saved by grace, but I've never hid anything that I do or don't do. I mean, I've been real animate about that. And there's no reason to feel like anybody's judging me. And if they are, there's nothing I can do about that. It's not. But I am aware sometimes of, sometimes I get people, because I do share my spiritual experience in my walk. So I try to be, I try to word things sometimes so in a certain way to where people that aren't necessarily have any connection at all to the big kahuna, aka God, can still follow along. That being said, the other day it was mentioned to me about someone's their not indifference, but they were saying that they're in relation to the whole God thing. It was more impersonal for them because I was talking about a personal relationship on a level where, like, there's things that I know about that I realize I can't always tell some people because depending on where they're at and their understanding of some things, not everybody's on the same level. And I don't like trying to uh, if someone's incorrect about something and it needs to be corrected, and I feel I need to, I will. But you know, I want to. I welcome everybody. So, but anyway, I kind of just was. I got home because I knew that I had like 3.3 point something gigabytes of hotspot left. So I knew, like when I was in church today, and I thought about what I was saying, like what Nature Girl had brought up yesterday. You can be like, I can choose to get up every day and make excuses or keep letting something that's a roadblock or a blockage block me. But if there's a way that I may be able to get that blockage out of the way, then I should work on that. And but I talked about this also. I'm bad about procrastinating, and I'm trying. That's why it's good for me to get back into this routine of starting the day, whatever, like at some point, making an official start of the day and starting it off a certain way. And then I've been practicing listening more, like waiting to be, like there's certain things I know to get up and do anyway. But then as far as the rest of the day is concerned, instead of thinking I have to have a plan and know exactly what I'm going to do all day long, well, the best way it's always worked for me is if I get up, do the things I already have in my routine, and then anything outside of that will be shown to me. And I had got out of sync with that, where I wasn't like really paying attention to what was maybe being shown. Hey, you could do this. Hey, you could do that. Well, I need you. Why don't you go down the road? Why don't you, so, because sometimes, believe it or not, that's how I end up going to walk into town sometimes, is I may not even really be thinking about it in my own mind myself, thinking this is a plan today. And then all of a sudden at some point, it feels like the Spirit says, it gives me all of a sudden I just get that feeling, okay, why don't you go to town? It gives me the sensation that I can do it, and that if I get out there, I might get a ride. And if I don't, I might meet somebody that I need to meet, or, there might be someone that I end up helping in some way or another, or they're helping me. And it always kind of works out that way. Even just the small encounters, going into a store and just exchange like good contact. Like when you have a good communication and you're in good spirits, you're trying to just share in the joy of being alive. And it helps you. It helps me to learn how to be perceptive to who is receptive. You see what I mean? Like realizing who is receptive to what is being put out, energy wise. Because like if you watch, you'll know. Like just like when someone comes at me a certain way, if I'm not in a certain mood, there's signs I can give, or people can tell. Like, when you bring up a certain subject and you're out in public, sometimes people just ain't in the mood to talk about it, especially when it comes to maybe something like deep or something, whatever. It just ain't the time for them. But most of the time, I find most people relating to whatever I've said. Like if I just say how good a day I'm having, and I'm blessed because I got up, even if I'm, I might not have everything that I think I should have, or I might be hurting, because I mostly hurt almost every day physically. But on the days that I'm able to move around and do more, like today, I've done a lot. It's good, And I see this. We've had several people here. I didn't have any intended length of time to stay on here. What I was getting at is the hotspot had 3.3 something when I started, and I knew I could. That gives me an estimation of I still got a little bit. So if tomorrow, I, for instance, want to go live, and then I was trying to do the math either last night or this morning. I'm thinking, I think I can probably afford to get that type of phone I need. That will at least suffice until I end up upgrading again to like a bigger device and stuff like I already have been blessed with and then messed up and don't have now. Teresa knows what I'm talking about. But I am so tickled to death that anybody showed up, so, yeah, Victoria headed out, didn't she? Yes, she said, and I forgot to say ditto to her. By the way, Saved by Grace, I don't know if you know, but the way that we tell each other we love each other, like I end all my videos, like when I get off this stream, when I say I'm about done, I'm going to sign off with the word ditto. And then that's also if anybody is watching that didn't already know that. Like, I don't know if you knew or not. Not trying to sound weird or nothing. But ditto is in reference to me and a friend that was dear to my heart. She was actually, we were in a relationship at one point, and but we were best friends. We were friends first, and then we dated, and then we had made the terms that we'd always be friends, and that was because we were friends to begin with. And I was real adamant about that. It's like, okay, well, we're a thing, but if we aren't a thing again, I still want to be able to be your friend, like we've always because it was nice to hang out with her. And then she, when she overdosed in 2018. I swore, I told myself at some point in life I wanted to, I honor her memory because mine and her word for saying we loved each other. We did say I love you sometimes, but like if we were out in public and we just didn't care, it was our special way of like all I had to say, look at, like I could be parting ways with her and we're around people and I say ditto and she say ditto and we knew what we meant. So that's why you'll hear that if you didn't know. And that's why Victoria said ditto. What are you doing, little big girl? Stop. Don't you be thinking about that. Okay, little big girl's getting a little anxious. I thought it was later than it is already, but it's because I can already tell it's starting to get a little darker outside, like it's 4:21 here, Central Time. I can see that it's went from being kind of bright out there since I've been on here, and we've been going on. I've been on here about almost an hour, so. I just am trying to. I've had a great day, but I still have this weird anxiousness to me, and that's kind of why I decided to go live. I sat here and debated on whether I was going to or not, but I was like, man, I enjoy the communicating. I enjoy that this is a way we can chat back and forth, and I just wanted to, say it. I'm thinking about doing. I may be doing like if you don't know, Saved by Grace, I do have a second channel. It's very small, 12 people subscribe, but it's called Greycloudy's Thoughts, and it's all kind of new, nothing special other than that. I'm trying to move from over there is where I'm going to try to handle talking about certain things that I've never maybe went into here, and then there's a few things that I used to do here on this channel, like talking about certain things that were hobbies and stuff that I really don't talk about anymore. And now that I've created that second channel, my thought is that's where I'm gonna, if I want to talk about anything pop culture related, anything that may be going on in the news, whether it be political or whatever, over there is where I'm going to handle some of it, because I thought, well, the name of the channel, Greycloudyday Thoughts. So it's kind of like I can just, I'm trying to come up with ideas, and it's all new to me, but I want it to be distinguishably different. Even though it's me over there, I want to know when people come there, they're seeing something different there, or getting something a little different out of that channel than they do over here. They're still going to get inspired, hopefully, though. And Anyway, guys, I think I'm gonna get off of here. I appreciate you coming by. It was good to see you. I don't know if you're still here, Teresa, or if you're still here, Saved by Grace. I know Victoria left. It's showing one person right now. So let's keep Victoria's granddaughter in prayer, like we already have, and uh, that was just a moment of silence to end this, to say thank you for being you. Thank you for being interested in watching me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for communicating. I I'm glad that things are back on the upswing for me. And a lot of it is just me being disciplined. I have to be more disciplined, and it's going to take more time. But y'all, I'm going to get off here. You have a good evening. And until the next time, it's been real fun. This is Grey Cloud, Sage of the Eternal Moment, because this is the only moment we have. I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. I don't know what's going to happen when I turn this off, when I get offline here. But I'm grateful to have been here. Y'all enjoy yourself. This is awesome. Grey Cloud, over and out. Ditto.